Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I'll be your presenter today. Today we're going to be talking about working in the statement designer. So if you're generating your donation statements and you want to customize them a little bit, maybe add a logo, or if you're wanting to change how the fields appear on the report, maybe remove some information or some columns, if you want to add a comment, remove whole sections, I'm going to walk you through how to do that today, okay? So today we're actually going to start on page 23, so feel free to jump to that if you want to kind of follow along, make some notes, feel free to do that in here, okay? All right, so let's start on page 23. This is where, let me get donations opened up here. You begin the process of generating your statement. So I'm going to click on donation statement here. Again, step one, this is who you need to see or who needs to get a statement. This is covered in that other webinar, so we're not going to jump into this too terribly much today, but for now we're going to hit next. Step two screen is going to show you everybody at the bottom that's going to be getting a statement based on the criteria that you put in back on step one. Okay. Now, up here at the top, you have your statement layout. You are going to have several different templates in here. So everybody that gets donations, you will have all of these template ones listed here. You can go into these templates and then edit them to reflect whatever you would like to see on the designer itself. Okay. If you're from Canada, you have these two options here. This one is going to be a tri-fold mailer. So if you have the paper that's perforated that you can fold and print on, this is that layout that you'd want to go with. If you want to do a fold that fits perfectly into a windowed envelope, you can use either one of these windowed envelope options down here at the bottom. That way you don't have to print a label. I find that the most popular one that people use is just the template windowed envelope. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit the Statement Designer button right here, and this is where you can really go in and you can make as many changes as you want or need to from here, okay? If you're similar with working in like Microsoft Office, your toolbars are going to be very similar to like Word or Publisher or Excel, things like that. So across the top, you got your save as. Keep in mind with a template, you're never going to be able to save over top of that. You're always going to have to do a save as when you change a template. That way those defaults are always there for you to go back in and make changes to. Okay. Font size, and then other additional changes are up here. Here are your different align options, font color, background color, zoom in, zoom out. These down here are also going to be some align options. So if you find when you come down here in the bottom, these different fields, these are all like separate text boxes. At least that's how my brain thinks about them. With these different text boxes, you want them to maybe be perfectly straight. So if we zoom in right here, you can see I want these things to be perfectly straight up here across the top. If I click on and scooch one of these out of order, for example, or out of alignment, that's probably a better word, I can come back along here and hold down my control button on my keyboard because that's going to allow me to select more things, and I can select these fields, and if I hit the left align button, it's going to then snap all these things into a perfect order. So you do have some different alignment options up here. Not something that gets used too terribly often, but I can be pretty particular, so I really like everything to be perfectly lined up. So I find that I personally do use these alignment options a lot, but again, it's up to you. So this is going to be the top of our fold basically. So this is what's going to fit in that windowed envelope. This space right here, giver name and address, it's going to do just that. It's going to give you what the giver's name is or the family name. If they're checked gives with family, it's going to give you their address, and then those fields are going to fit perfectly into that standard sized windowed envelope. Okay. These fields you can click and hold. You can drag on them, move them all around. You also have undo button up here at the top. I find I use this undo button all of the time, especially if I scooch something and it turns red. Red is meaning that something is overlapped or something isn't going to print properly because it's set up incorrectly. If you find you have something red, you're going to want to fix that. So I can hit the undo button, snap it right back where it belongs. Okay. If you have something hanging over a margin, that's also going to cause you issues when printing. It's really going to shift your pages. So if anything looks like this or anything's hanging off of these margin dotted lines across the top or sides, you want to make sure that you acknowledge those and get them fixed. Okay. While we're still looking up at the top, it's also crucial to remember that if you want to change the font or the font size, you're going to need to do that for each field that you have here. Okay, so if I just choose giver name and address and I want to increase the font to 12, for example, select the box, go up to my font size, type in my font. It's going to change that font size for this field, but it's not going to change any of the other fields. So they're their own unique or individual field. If you want to change the font for everything, you're going to have to hold that control button again and hover over your items and select the ones that you're wanting to change. Okay. So that's a little different in how maybe our other reports function. These are all unique fields, so you really have to come up here and change them when they're all selected. Okay, same thing with the bold, italics, and then underline. Each field is its own unique field. Okay. So that's important to keep in mind. You can shift this stuff a little bit if you want to, but if you truly are putting it inside a windowed envelope, shifting these fields might not be your best option because it's not going to fit properly. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, I've seen some absolutely gorgeous statements where people pop in their church logo. So all I did was make a little square here for me to put an image, simply by selecting the field, hovering over this box, clicking and holding, and that's going to allow me to adjust the width of each of my fields. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab a logo box, click and hold, and I'm going to drag it over and I'm going to drop it right where I want it. Obviously it's pink, which is not good, so I'm going to shrink it up so it fits in the space that I want. Then from here, to add my image, I'm going to hit my little gear icon, image source, hit my little dot, 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 and then it's going to bring up your open screen. So you browse to that location wherever you've saved your image. I don't know if I have any good images to use, but once you select your image, it will pop right in there. So adding a logo, really nice way to customize your donation statement. Okay. All right, let's scroll down and let's talk about these three sections. By default, the statement layout is going to come with this detail report. It's going to give you your account section, and then it's going to give you your quarterly and your monthly total sections. All right. Lower left, I'm going to hit this preview button because I want to show you what's going to be a standard layout or what a preview of the layout that you're building is going to look like. So as you can see, here's our little logo. Here's our information that we scooched over to the side. If they have a giver number, it'll print here, the date range, total given tax deductible, total given non-tax deductible. This is an option if you don't want to see the non-tax deductible number. Back on step 2, just choose the other statement layout. All right, now if we scroll down, you can see this is the first section. This is our detail section right now. And this is going to give you the date, the account they gave to, so this could say like general fund, how much they gave, and the check number. Okay, and then same thing down here at the bottom, or I should say it's column 2, it's going to then give you the date, the account they gave to, how much it was for, and then the check number if you record that. This section here in italics, this is going to be a comment. So if you entered in a line item comment when entering your donation, that's going to print there. Okay, that's the detail section. Scrolling down, We now have this account summary date range. This is going to give you each giving account that they gave to. It might wrap onto page 2. If they pledged, if you are a pledging church, it will show in parentheses the date range that they've pledged for, frequency, amount pledged, amount, prior giving, amount given over under. Okay, prior giving would be if they made a prepaid. And then the section below that, did I hide my quarterly section? Let me go back. Lower left, hit my designer button. Why is my quarterly section not showing? All right, that might be turned off. We'll go look. All right, so back here in the designer, if you find you want to make changes to the detail report, up here in the top left, you can simply uncheck it. That's going to totally get rid of that section from printing. Or, let's do undo. Edit detail section. This is going to allow you to go in and do some customizing. So you can decide, do you want the transactions to print down then across or across then down? You can also specify if you want it to print as 2 columns. Columns tab. Say you don't track the check number. That's not something you do on Enter Donations. You can highlight check number, get it off to the left if you don't want to see it. So whatever's here on the right are the columns that are going to print, and then these are the available columns to select from. Okay. Fonts, if you want to change font information, you can do that here. Okay. Next section, this is going to be the account summary section. Up here across the top, again, if you don't want to see it, simply click that box to uncheck it, and that will remove it from printing in that section. Check it to bring it back. I don't know why it didn't pop back in the right spot. Edit account summary. This is going to allow you to go in and then make changes to the appearance of the account summary. So again, you can go in, add colors if you wish, change your font, or on the columns tab, you can specify what columns you want to see. If nobody gives prepaids or does prior giving, you can simply hit the left facing arrow to get rid of that. If you don't want to show people the over-under in comparative to the pledge of what they gave, get rid of that section as well. If you need to adjust the width of your columns, you can do that using this width thing. Maybe the account column is just way too long. Feel free to come in and shorten that up. Okay. See if I can get this in the right spot now. There we go. All right, in the quarterly section, up here at the top, you can choose to edit that. You can show quarterly totals, monthly totals, grand totals, print it as 2 columns, or if you just want 1, uncheck that. Columns tab, pledged, non-pledged, and totals. And then fonts, same as the others, you can change. All right, down here at the bottom, this is the IRS statement. This is the approved statement from the IRS that needs to show on all donation statements. That will be there by default. Global memo, statement memo, we talked about that in the donation statement webinar, but that would be if you want a message to show up globally on everyone's donation statement. That is where this box, or that is where that text would print on the statement itself, okay? Excuse me, sorry. Over here to the right, in your toolbox, there are a lot of different options for fields that you can add. The document I sent out should go over those that information to you specifically for all these different fields that you have available to show up. So you just click again, drag and drop, and then that field will appear or print on the statement wherever you happen to place it. One of the big things that I get asked about, or more common things, is people will say, I just want to add a little note up here. I want to type up something and put it in here. This is a great space to do that. Over here to the right, click and hold on your label. Again, this is just going to be an open text field. You can type anything you want in this field and then drag it, and wherever you place it, that's where it's going to print when you generate your statements. Okay. You can add shapes. You can add a horizontal line if you want to. That's these. Give you kind of some separation between the different categories if you wish. All right, let's save this and then let's go take a peek at it. So we got to get rid of the word template. Just going to call it Statements 2023. Save that, and then I'm going to X out to close the designer. So now in my statement layout drop box, here's what I just called it. I'm going to go ahead and hit print, and let's take a peek at how that looks. We are really zoomed in. Let me zoom out a little bit. So for this person, here's their name. The logo I accidentally deleted. I'll go back in and pop that back in, but that would print here. And then over here on the right, here's a little thank you note that we added. And as we scroll down here, you can see we got rid of that check number column, so that's not printing. We also got rid of the over, under, and prior giving, so those fields have been omitted. Here is that quarterly section. I find most people turn this off. To me, it's kind of cluttery and hard to follow on my eyes, but some people like it, so it's all personal opinion. Either check or uncheck that box if you want to see that on the report itself. Here's that approved IRS statement. Again, you can change the font. You can move it to a different place if you wish. And then down here at the bottom, this is an old memo or an old global memo. But this is where you can come in and write a thank you or say, if you have questions, contact Rachel at this phone number. Let's go back and get that picture back in that I undoed too many times. All right, and then down here at the bottom, if you find you want to change the font of any of these fields, just grab them, select them. Up at the top, say we want to do Arial. I'll change this one to Arial 2. And then, excuse me, let's say we want to get rid of that quarterly section because I don't particularly care for it. Across the top, just uncheck Show Quarterly, and that will omit that section. And then I can just do a save this time. I don't need to do a save as again unless I want to create another layout. And then back here on step 2, that global memo, those are created right here below your statement layout. So that one was from 2015. You just click this little edit icon here. And then you can see all of your past messages that you've created. And then if you want to edit or change one and update the year, just click right in here, make your changes, say OK. And now that will update this memo for you. And then lower right, if we hit print, we're going to see that reflected now down at the bottom. We can see I've changed the font to. And then back up at the top, I also changed the thank you font, and now that quarterly section is gone. Now this person just has one donation, the sample data person. Typically you're going to see if people give pretty regularly, this detail section will be really long, and they'll have a bunch of different donations listed in here. And then of course if they give to more than one account, like this person, you'll see the multiple accounts listed, and then any information here as well. Okay? So lots of options, lots to do in that report designer. For me, if you're familiar, I work in Publisher a lot here. So if you know Publisher or you know Word, the designer is just pretty much dragging and moving text boxes. So it's pretty straightforward. If you have questions, call us. If you have a particular look or layout that you're wanting to use and you're having trouble with it, just call. We're happy to help you with that. But that is everything I wanted to go over with you guys today.